Hello and welcome into another edition of Catamount Football Weekly as we talk Western Carolina Catamount football with head coach Mark Spear. I'm your host, Daniel Hooker, and Coach, looking back, probably another one of your team's most complete ball games this year against one of the most complete teams in our conference, talking about the nationally ranked Chattanooga Mocs. You come up just a bit short, though, but again, a complete effort. You played and did some of the things you talked about needing to do, playing penalty-free, winning the turnover battle, and the time of possession was right there even, but come out just short against a very complete Chattanooga team.
Well, I thought our guys played really hard, and they fought for 60 minutes, and that's first and foremost what we ask them to do every week. And, a lot of good things, a lot of positives come out of that football game, other than the loss. But with every loss, you got to look for the positives. You got to fix the negatives and then put it behind you and move on, learn and grow from it. But I was pleased that we had 0 penalties for the day. We were +2 in the turnover margin. Like you said, it's about dead even, 30-30 in the time of possession. And going into the ball game, we had no idea Detrez would have the kind of day he did, but we talked about it. We knew we had to try to establish some kind of run game. And credit to our offensive linemen and Detrez and those receivers. We talked about this is a physical football team coming into Cullowhee, and we have to go match their physicality. And we preached all week about being physical. Those guys stepped up to that challenge, and as a result, Detrez and our offense has a huge day, against the #1 defense in the country coming in.
Let's talk about Detrez Newsome. Obviously, we've read the numbers, 277 rushing yards, 2 long touchdown runs of 75 and 95 yards against the defense that the longest yard allowed this year on a single run had been just 18 coming into that ball game. But talk about what he's did in that ball game, and also just 347 all-purpose yards. You had a guy named Devon Folks that had the second place in the Southern Conference category up at Appalachian State. Detrez now second all-time with the second best single-game performance in all-purpose yards.
Well, Detrez is a special person, #1. We talk all the time about giving all you got as long as it takes, and that's a guy that does it every day. He doesn't just go out and try to do it on Saturday. I mean, he practices that way on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And he's a leader for us, but he's a guy that if he can get past the second level, past those linebackers, he can split safeties and go to the house, and he proved that. And there's some times that those safeties thought they had angles on him, and he can just split and go the distance. He's a home run hitter. Speaking of the Cubs and a grand slam last night, he's kind of our grand slam guy. But he's just a special person, and for him, the all-purpose yards. He's not, there's a lot of great backs in this country, but he's probably, in my opinion, the most complete because he catches out of the backfield, he does our kick returns, and a guy that's responsible for 347 yards. A lot of times that's a great day for an entire offense, much less one guy responsible for. So, he's breaking a lot of records, but at the end of the day, he's the kind of guy that would like to have had a W far more than just those yards.
Oh, no doubt about it. And Detrez Newsome, again, eyeing another 1,000-yard season now, and that 277 yards in one game moves him that much closer to that milestone of trying to do it in back-to-back seasons for your offense. And Coach, obviously, after the ball game, you had some staff changes that have moved things around. As you move into the VMI week this week, looking at the defensive side of the ball, a team that's made some improvements on that side, what are you looking at as your staff responsibilities moving forward this year?
Well, first of all, we had to relieve Coach Landry of his duties, and I'd like to say, Dustin is a great person, #1, and a heck of a football coach, and put a lot of energy and effort into our program, and sometimes, like any business or even a marriage, sometimes, but especially in a business, when sometimes two businessmen are both excellent businessmen and they've had productive business, but when you merge them, sometimes philosophies bang head and doesn't create the best chemistry, and that was completely what it was all about. And we just felt like it was time to make a change, because we do talk to our players, all you guys, as long as it takes, and when you see that it's probably just not going to be a fit. There was a point we said we're not going to give up on these seniors or this year. We're going to fight as long as it takes, and as hard as that decision was on me, it was one I felt like was in the best interest of our team. So we made the change, and again, I want to thank Dustin for all his efforts here. But we've made the change, and I was kidding somebody yesterday. I said we're turning. I'm a good old Baptist guy, and so what we do when we have a problem in the Baptist church is we form a committee. And so we're doing this defensive coordinating by committee. We got some outstanding coaches, and our defense secondary guy, Blake Gideon, former Catamount, coaching our linebackers, Chris Collins, Mark Ray, who's been here the entire time with us coaching the D-line, and Brian Voles is our quality control, is going to bump up and kind of fill that void position of Dustin leaving, and together we're doing it. As a collective group, putting the game plan together. We're out there during practice this week. We don't normally wear headsets on defense, but anytime we interact with our offense, we're formulating that game plan, and we're doing it together. Ultimately, I'm going to make the call, but it's our defense, 100% our defense, and all the defensive staff have really, it's been kind of fun. I've been a head coach and doing not very much coaching the last several years. To be able to sit in there and actually talk football, it's kind of rejuvenated me a little bit, and to be around knowledgeable guys. Young and upcoming stars like Blake and Chris and Mark, and to sit in there and put it together and put it down, and somebody's got to call it, and between really myself and Blake, Blake's the secondary guy, so all the stupid stuff I do and call, the secondary guy always has to make it work and make it fit, because they are our last line of defense. So. But we're going to have Chris Collins in the box, and Chris has got a real good eye for seeing what's going on. He's been in the box all year, and he's got a real good eye and can really decipher what's going on, and is giving great information all week. And then what we'll do in between series is, again, sit over there and discuss, here's what we need to do. So I've been pleased to this point, and it's a new challenge for us as a coaching staff, and our players. They bought in. They're resilient, and they're excited about senior day coming up, and they're excited about finishing out this last 3 ball games. So I think this team's going to bring a lot of energy on Saturday, and we're going to scratch and claw against one heck of a VMI football team, and Coach Wackenheim does a great job. I mean, that guy ought to get some votes for Coach of the Year, because they've got some real obstacles that they have to overcome being at VMI, and they do a great job. So it's going to take our best effort.
What have you seen on film about this VMI squad? The first real test for Blake Gideon and Zach Etheridge and Mark Ray and Chris Collins and you on the defensive side.
I forgot about Zach Etheridge, and what a special guy. Zach's our corner coach, and Zach does a great job. I didn't mean to leave Zach out there.
Yeah, but what have you seen out of VMI? What have they done so much differently there with Coach Wackenheim and making that improvement? I know you've talked about it in weeks prior. I know you and Coach Hatcher talked about some of the improvements that you've seen, and you and Coach Huseman have talked about other teams in the conference, including VMI. But what are they doing so much differently, and how are they gotten better?
Well, they've got a great plan, number one, and they play extremely hard. You can tell they play for each other. you can tell they play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. When you watch them on film, you see 11 guys, as we call it, straining to the ball. Straining to block somebody. They're giving their all. They defensively, they're very active. They've got a lot of coverages, a lot of fronts. They want to confuse you. They want to create negative plays. They come at you with a lot of different folks. You're not going to see, as we saw last week, a Chattanooga team that just sits there and says, we're good. We're going to beat you. You see a lot of they're everywhere. Offensively, it all starts with Al Cobb, the quarterback. Preseason pick for all conference, number one quarterback preseason. So he's got a lot of respect from all our coaches. Got a tremendous arm. Got really good receivers. Saunders, number 21, is that guy's a big guy, outstanding receiver, tops in the conference in a lot of stats. And they run the ball. The tricky thing when you really look at them, a lot of their yardage and stats come from the passing game, but they're a 50-50. They try to be a 50-50 run to throw. They're going to make you defend the run. They play Mercer. Coulda, shoulda beat Mercer. They get a PAT blocked, or that thing doesn't go to overtime. They lose in overtime, and they had their last touchdown that put them ahead was a blocked PA point after attempt, and or that game doesn't go to overtime. VMI wins, and they've had a lot of close games like that. But in that Mercer game, they run 41 times to 37 pass. Now they didn't gain a lot of yards, but they're making you defend them, and so they're a balanced attack. They try to really possess the ball, and they're I think the least penalized team in the conference, and they don't turn the ball over very much. So they're a team that you have to play well and play solid and sound to go and beat.
Coach, obviously the final home game, you hinted on it a minute ago about senior day, always a special time, that bittersweet moment of realizing guys playing their final game here at E.J. Whitmire Stadium. Looking for a big crowd to finish up this year as you guys look to finish strong, to coin one of your phrases. Talk about your senior class, talk about the final home game.
Well, this is a special class, and most senior classes are, but this class was our second recruiting class. They came in after a 1-10 season, and they didn't have a lot to, there wasn't anything sexy about being at Western. And these guys believed in a vision. They believed in changing a culture, and they were part of that group we had last year that changed the culture here at Western Carolina. And they've seen a lot. It's been a roller coaster ride. They came in low, and they had 2 great years. And, for us to not have the kind of year we wanted to have, obviously is disappointing for our staff to send this group out. But they've been a part of really changing the culture here at Western Carolina. And for them, the realization of football's about to be over. They've played football most of them since they were in the 2nd or 3rd grade. Played football for a long time, and this is the last time that they're going to get to put on that purple jersey and play in front of their home crowd. And there's some guys like Mike Helms. I call him Paw Paw. I was hired in December. He was an early high school graduate. He showed up in January and then was redshirted. So he's the old relic of the last group that came in with our staff, and he's seen a lot. And for that guy to come in as a quarterback and turn himself into a really good tight end for us, it's a special day for a guy like him, a guy like who's just the opposite. Fred Payne has come and graduated he's going to graduate in December in 3.5 years. So for us to go in and sit in those guys' homes as recruits, to see them as freshmen messing up, wondering, hey, will I ever play here? And now to see them tutoring our freshmen and seeing them lead, seeing them make plays like Fred Payne's pick six there at Sanford, just a lot of special memories with this class, and I'm thankful for our Catamount Nation, and I hope they will come out, and I know they will support this senior class. Our last home ball game going to be beautiful. Feels like preseason weather as opposed to postseason, or end of the year. But come out and honor these seniors and send these seniors out the way they need to be sent out. And I told the team, if we're going to talk about all you guys as long as it takes, there's 3 more games in this season. We're doing this, and we had to make some hard changes with our staff, as we mentioned early, because we're not waiting for 2017 to correct some problems we're having, and we owe it to these seniors. We owe it to the Catamount Nation, who have been showing up faithfully this whole season. And as I'm asking our team to finish strong, and all you guys as long as it takes, we got 3 more games, and I'm asking the Catamount Nation to finish strong and support this football program, because we're not a bad football team. We've just been playing bad, and that's easily corrected, as opposed to being a bad football team trying to get good. We've got a good football team. We've got good players. We just a lot of reasons. No one person gets us to where we are. No one person's going to get it out. It's going to take our football team and the Catamount Nation to finish this thing up strong. And I know our team's excited about it, and I know our Catamount Nation will be. And it's going to be an exciting day this Saturday. And it's going to take everything we got. But I tell you, I'm really looking forward to going and watching these Catamounts play this Saturday.
So again, Western Carolina, VMI, final home game of the regular season. Last chance to get your claws out here in Cullowhee. Tickets online at CatamountSports.com or by calling 800-34-GO-WCU, or come on by the Ramsey Center, first floor ticket office. See Austin and the folks in the ticket office to get your tickets for this Saturday, Western Carolina VMI Senior Day. It's also Hall of Fame Day. 2 Catamounts, Mike Biggerstaff and Fred Cantler, being inducted into the Athletics Hall of Fame. We'll honor them at halftime of this Saturday's game. For the coach, I'm Daniel Hooker saying so long. We'll see you at 2 o'clock here at E.J. Whitmire Stadium, Bob Waters Field this Saturday for the Catamounts and the Keydets.